Hello, my name is Charles Faulkner III, and today I will talk about my intervention proposal, which will be called Seeing While Blind. And Seeing While Blind will be an intervention proposal that will be used to eliminate biases in certain aspects of society. And this will be for the CUNY Schools of Professional Studies, the Graduate Center, under Psychology 610, Social Behavior. So, what is Seeing While Blind? Seeing While Blind is an intervention method proposal that will be used to eliminate biases in certain aspects of society. As we see in today's society, especially changing from where it was then, that some things still remain the same, such as some individuals are still not able to climb up the ladder due to how they look, as in physical appearances, their sexual orientation, and sometimes what they choose to identify as on a gender scale. And the goal of Seeing While Blind is to implement solutions to eliminate discrimination in certain aspects of society. So, with these certain aspects of which we were talking about, the goal of Seeing While Blind is to see if there is ways to make this change for the better, such as individuals that are more competent in certain aspects of, I would say, a job, certain aspects of education, certain aspects of even in the criminal justice system, can get the justice that they deserve and not be diminished or moved out of the way due to their color of their skin, their physical appearance, their sexual orientation, or any other aspects that cause these individuals to be discriminated in the way that they are. There are a variety of topics that will be covered for the intervention method of Seeing While Blind. An example of some of these topics that will be covered are the following: discrimination in the workplace, brutality, altruism, education, and jury selection. Just to touch on a few, in today's society, similar to the past, there's a lot of discrimination that goes on in the workplace, such as maybe wage differences due to someone's gender. Police brutality. There is an underlying overlap not only between police but also between those that the police protect and serve. There's a miscommunication between the two that should be balanced. As for altruism, altruism is something that is considered heroic when a person engages in an activity. But little can we know that altruism can also be due to only having altruistic believings and altruistic behaviors towards somebody that's a part of your selection, part of your physical appearance, and tend to neglect those that are not part of it. Education wise, we live in an education system in which some schools may have better education than other schools, and they can actually be a minute away from each other, or even 10 minutes away from each other. And this is an overlap that needs to change. As for jury selection, there are some aspects in which there are many that are being off the hook, as well as those that are being incarcerated for reasons that they cannot control. And this is something that needs to change while using the intervention method of Seeing While Blind. The first concept in which we will talk about is discrimination in the workplace. And Abbott stated that there was two concepts to focus on with discrimination in the workplace. One being cognitive dissonance, which was a concept made by Leon Festinger that states that those in power choose to focus on negative traits but do not see them as negative, they see them as positive. And this is similar to the reactance theory, which is unpleasant motivational arousals to offers, persons, rules, or regulations that choose to threaten or eliminate specific behavioral freedoms. And these two concepts are concepts that Aben believed can cause discrimination in the workplace. And this is similar to Aye Wumi in 2013 that stated that either gender as well as race are two main concepts that tend to make individuals not strive in their workplace, and that they are discriminated against both financially as well as both physically. And these are concepts that we can try to focus on and work towards for the better. There are some intervention methods that we can use to eliminate workplace discrimination. One of these concepts will be recognizing workplace productivity. In order to do this, we can have those that are in a position of hiring that don't focus on the physical appearance of individuals, but they focus on what this specific individual can bring to their organization in a positive manner. A way to also assess this is by having bias assessment techniques. And in this way, we can have those individuals not be focused on their physical appearance, and that when their name is brought to a specific hiring manager, the only thing that the hiring manager sees is their credentials, but they do not see their physical appearance, they do not see their gender, they don't see their background, and it helps the manager to only focus on their characteristics as how can they progress in this job, as well as educating on gender inclusion. In this way, we can educate others about the importance of having a variety of genders in a specific work field and how it can eliminate groupthink and it can allow others to have varying opinions that can move in a positive direction, as well as including non-biased authority figures. In order to do this, we can hire those that will not be biased in the workplace, and they will only hire based on the credentials of an individual, on their curricular vitae, and they will not take physical appearance, gender, sexual orientation, or any physical aspects into consideration, as that will hinder one's ability to move up the corporate ladder. Next, we will talk about police brutality. In 2017, James identified that there was a miscommunication between blacks and law enforcement. As well as Worrell in 2018, he identified shoot versus don't shoot cases. These are cases in which focus on police officers that had to either shoot an individual or not shoot an individual. And what he found was 1/3 of the cases have involved blacks as being the target, which is the opposite of the media portrayal of blacks being the target the majority of the time, which 1/3 only shows that 33% of the time blacks are considered as a target. And also, James talked about in 2017 that it was found that one reason that blacks could be considered the target is due to sleep deprivation by police officials, which is something that could be detrimental due to the fact that nobody wants to be a victim of police brutality due to the fact that a police officer did not get the decent amount of sleep. So we will also talk about interventions to eliminate this concept. One intervention method in which we can use for police brutality is focusing on two that are already present today. One of those is the implicit association test, which is used to see if there's an underlying bias in specific individuals. And we can use this with police officers to see if they have a bias towards a specific race and if they will be competent or capable of continuing to do their job. Also, there is something called the weapon focus task, in which focuses on police officers choosing to identify a specific weapon or item based off of a specific race. And this is the other way to see if a police officer will be competent enough to continue their job. As well as education. Not only education of police officers, but also educating the communities to understand that one police officer engaging in a negative activity does not mean every police officer will engage in a negative activity. And to increase the educational aspects, there can be town hall meetings, meet and greets, and in both of these concepts, this is where police officers as well as the communities can get to know each other and understand each other and eliminate the underlying misgap that they have between each other and know that the police officers are there to enforce the law and protect the communities, and the community does not have to be afraid of calling the police with the belief that they think the police will not be there to support. The next concept in which we will talk about is altruism. And altruism is a concept in which those tend to give selflessly for the benefit of the whole group. But it is found that there can be a conflict with altruism due to one's physical appearance. And Chang in 2019 actually found that the rich are less generous to the poor, but they're more generous to those that are on the same standard as them, such as rich. And Bartels in 2013 actually focused on the concept of selfish giving. This is a concept in which those tend to give to the poor, but as long as they are getting compensation or they're getting praise for it. And he said that morals, is something that can dictate altruism. And this is a concept that we can use in today's society to educate all to give to everybody, regardless of social economic status, regardless of education, and most importantly, regardless of physical appearances. In order to eliminate biases in altruism, one could give while being blind, which is also the colorblind concept of giving. In this way, they can tend to give to all types, regardless of that person's physical appearance and regardless of that person's gender or orientation, as well as giving personal stories. And one personal story that's the strongest is the Heinz dilemma, in which focuses on how one tends to eliminate social norms as long as it did not conflict against moral norms. And also given the concept of one race, human society, race philosophy. This is a concept in which teaches us to only help everybody and not just help those that seem like they're in need or eliminate those that we feel should not be helped. And in this way, I feel if we do these concepts as an intervention style, it will help us increase one's morality overall. The next concept in which we will talk about is in education. And the education system is structured differently based on one's location and appearance. And Garces in 2019, as well as Conkel Zebel in 2019, focused on the affirmative action loopholes that are still present in today's society, as well as the race-conscious admissions that tend to focus on individuals with predominantly African names that tend to not either get denied admissions or a harder time inside admissions, and also focusing on one's career's decision through self-efficacy. And this helps one to realize that individuals tend to lower their standards or lower their goals due to the fact that this is happening to them. And one wants to know, what can we do differently in the education system to help those strive for what they want to achieve? Similar to police assessments, there can be a bias assessment in the admissions office. In this way, admission officers will have to be assessed to see if there's an underlying bias there or not, and if they will be competent enough to continue their jobs. Also, eliminating the ethnic background questionnaire, and that those that usually focus on one's ethnic background will not have to worry about that anymore, and the only thing they can focus on is if this person's credentials can make them capable of admissions or not capable of admissions. And also, diversity in education training for educators will help the educators to be able to identify and understand the variety and the diversity and the importance that it takes place of with certain genders in certain aspects of their classroom. There's another concept in which focuses on jury selection, and this one focuses on the biased jury effect, in which some juries do not focus on what the individual done, but they focus on the physical characteristics of an individual. As well as this happening, this is where some cases can focus on individuals that are wrongfully convicted, as well as the peremptory challenge, which is a concept that is supposed to be used to eliminate biased jury selection. And McGuffey, as well as the anonymous writer, actually conducted a meta-analysis that focused on a bunch of jury selection cases, and they found that there is actually racial biases when it comes to jury selection and how the jury decides to go about certain cases. And the goal is to find out a way to eliminate potential biases in jury selection. Interventions in which we can do that can eliminate jury selection bias is having blind hearings. In this way, the jury do not see the individual that's on trial, but they can only hear their story. And this is similar to an implicit association task as well as a weapon focus task, in which this is a way that the jury cannot be biased towards a specific individual, as well as juries having thorough background checks, which can see if a person will be biased towards a specific individual or not biased towards a specific individual. And another way to go about this is having structured interviews in which we can get a thorough understanding of the juror that will be selected for a specific trial. And most importantly, having no information about the individual that's on trial will help eliminate jury selection bias. Just an afterword, discrimination comes in all different types. It starts off as a stereotype, which can manifest into prejudices, and the ultimate form of both of those two becomes discrimination. And it can have effects on many people, both in a detrimental way. So what can we do to help individuals see while blind? First thing we can do is educate. We can teach those that do not understand ways in order for them to understand, as well as eliminate biases in specific jobs. In this way, those that are in charge will not have a chance to become biased or show biases towards individuals that are more than capable of doing a specific job, but their physical appearances may be holding them back. As well as teaching love and not teaching hate. But with these concepts for the colorblind concept, we must be patient and trust the process if this can be implemented in a positive way. The following listed are my references for my presentation. Thank you for your time, and I hope you had a great semester.